This video is brought to you by Mack Weldon. Clothing. After weeks of teasing and speculation and patiently waiting, and also impatiently waiting, we finally have the second Avengers Infinity War trailer. And boy, is it! So as always, the plan is to break down all the Easter eggs and references in the hopes of ruining the movie before it comes out. This includes who's going to team up with whom, Thanos' goals and links to the Infinity Stones, Spider-Man switching suits, Captain America fending off Thanos, and much, much more. A lot of this will also be speculation and will turn out wrong, but every now and then I hit on something true, because a broken clock is right twice a day, if that's the appropriate metaphor, I don't know. So if you don't want to know anything, feel free to click away. I've actually linked something below that's very special for those who want to take off. That's something there just for you. Alright, let's get into it. This trailer kicks things off with that circular portal making its way across New York City. I don't think this is how the movie itself will open. I think we're going to get some space stuff before that. But this is as good a place as any to start the video. Because this event seems to take everyone by surprise, the only people in place to deal with it are Doctor Strange, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Wong, and Bruce Banner, who just got back from space, and he's probably a bit rattled and useless. At the very least, it looks like Tony Stark, Peter Parker, and Stephen Strange make their way through this portal to battle Thanos on Titan. It's been confirmed that this is the planet of Thanos' ruined homeworld. The idea of this film is to give him some tragic backstory in order to make him a more compelling villain. Now, I'd imagine that they'll probably pull this off, giving him some tragic backstory in order to make him a more compelling villain. But right now, he's a guy with a big purple face just sitting in a chair. Thanos, though, we've been told, has the capacity to love very much, which sounds terrifying. You ever met someone who's really into someone else, but that person is just not into them at all? It's a train wreck to watch, except this time the train has a big purple face and a glove that can punch you into another dimension a million years in the past. But getting back to this, it looks as if Peter Parker is the first responder to this event, but finds himself well out of his depth. And Tony Stark then goes after him, re-gifting Peter Parker the Iron Spider suit, which is probably designed to keep you more alive in space than, say, a pair of red pajamas. It's through this portal, though, that it looks like we get some Earth Avengers meeting up with some Guardians of the Galaxy, creating an unlikely alliance with hilarious results, probably. This movie, though, appears to be all about unlikely alliances, breaking up the Avengers into multiple teams, like Vehicle Voltron. If you remember that dated reference, don't worry if you don't. So we got Wakanda team, Space team, and team go to a yellow dusty planet. Team go to a yellow dusty planet we already talked about, but Space team appears to consist of Gamora, Thor, Groot, and Rocket. Their quest appears to entail making Thor a brand new hammer, so he's not just firing electricity out of every appendage and orifice. We've seen from some toys released that this is going to be an axe-like weapon that teenage Groot has a hand in crafting. This appears to be Thor forging his new weapon in the heart of a dying star, in the same way that Mjolnir was. I mean, I say dying star, but it could just be, you know, a big space furnace or something to that effect. Team Wakanda, though, that consists of Captain America, Scarlet Witch, Blonde Widow, Birdman, Good Guy Purple Face, Eric Banner, and Robot Legs. Maybe now that they're at Wakanda, this would be a good opportunity to give Robot Legs real working legs like they did to Everett Ross in Black Panther. But forget all that. Do you know what I think we should do? Get caught up on where all the Avengers are just prior to this film. There's so many characters and storylines, you might be like me and need constant refreshment because your brain functions like a mixtape that you keep recording new songs over the top of. Now you might be thinking, well, I know what everyone's up to. Civil War was 2 years ago and I remember films, but there's an Avengers Infinity War prelude comic that fills in some of the gaps that's worth a mention. I mean, I say worth a mention, but most of this ultimately won't matter because sometimes these comics contradict what happens in the films, and also often they just recap stuff that's happened in previous movies, so boo to that. Iron Man is one of the few characters who appeared in Civil War and has actually popped up in a film right before Infinity War, with his appearance in Spider-Man Homecoming. Everything's gone pretty great for Tony Stark. I mean, he got beat up quite a bit, but after that, he hired a boy, fired a boy, rehired a boy, passing it off as an intentional lesson.
Actually, it turns out it was the perfect sort of tough love moment that you needed, right? To urge you on, right? Wouldn't you think? Don't you think? Let's just say it was.
Then planned on outing this 15-year-old as a superhero vigilante to the entire world. Because why not? Don't even worry about it. Repercussions are for the rational and sober. Also, he's back together with Pepper Potts and may even be married now, which will make things all the more tragic when she dies, probably. We also know that he's contemplating calling Steve Rogers on his secret Steve Rogers phone, but then he's like, nah, how about I just keep doing all the things that I believe are right? Doctor Strange seems like he's got more of a handle on his skills. His abilities are now beyond that of sparky karate, and he also seems to have solid knowledge concerning the Infinity Stones and their locations. Well, all of them except the Soul Stone, which I want to come back to. Thor's fucked! Sorry, I mean he's in space, and Thanos' ship is bearing down on him, Loki, Hulk, Valkyrie, Korg, Meek, others probably. I mean, most of those guys will probably get away, not Loki, and I'm sure they'll then press on to fight another day, but again, not Loki. He's gonna die. Nick Fury is a ghost. We haven't seen him since Age of Ultron 2014, which is not the year that movie is set probably, but is the year it came out. Maybe he's off looking for the Skrulls, or he is a Skrull. I don't know. There's talk he won't appear in either of the Avengers films, but I believe that when I don't see it. That's as in, when I don't see him appear in those films, then that can be believed by me after clarification on the matter. See, what I'm saying is, Ant-Man! He went back to his family after being freed from unnecessarily isolated prison that can be infiltrated by one man just punching his way in. We don't know whether Infinity War is set before or after Ant-Man and the Wasp, so we know that he's going to be under house arrest, but that is the extent of it. Sam Wilson, Natasha Romanoff, and Steve Rogers are still doing Avengers-style work, just incognito-like, cleaning up Chitauri-based weapons all over the world, including in Lebanon and Syria. Also, they've changed things up, physically, to avoid detection. Full beards and blonde. That is the modus operandi. Vision and Scarlet Witch have also decided to hide out. The Vision can now appear exactly like Paul Bettany, which is handy for blending in, unless there's any Wimbledon fans in his vicinity. And then someone might be like, hey, how was it like working with Kristen Dunst, Paul Bettany? And he's all, yes, she was a delight. I definitely am Paul Bettany, the actor. Ask me anything about the TV show Legion. I mean the movie Legion. I am Paul Bettany. Master and Commander. The Guardians of the Galaxy, they're still in space. We know that they find Thor from the trailers, so that's good. And Groot is also a teenager now, because some time has passed between the events of Guardians 2 and the post-credits events of Guardians 2. Right, that's everyone. I mean, not everyone, but that's enough. I have no additional or relevant information. Oh no, Hawkeye! He went back to his family. Good on you, mate. Also, Bucky has been thoroughly deprogrammed by Shuri in Wakanda, but not at the expense of losing all of his memories. It's in that comic I was talking about. You don't need to read it. This is it here. Yeah, I just saved you $3. Also, do I need to talk about Black Panther? I mean, the movie just came out and literally everybody saw it and is still seeing it. You know, he's the king, and he's probably still the king in Avengers Infinity War. Unless somebody else chooses to kick the shit out of him on the edge of beat up the king, then I guess you become the king waterfall. But speaking of Wakanda, we do have some new information concerning the final Infinity Stone. The Soul Stone, which I have previously assumed was in Wakanda, which is what brings about that alien battle. Apparently though, it's the Mind Stone, which the Vision has in his head that they're protecting there. He's ushered away to Wakanda in order to protect him from Thanos. And what better place to house the Vision than a hidden, well, you know, it was hidden until it was announced on national television what was going on there. A previously hidden city that's the most advanced nation on Earth. He's gonna be bloody laughing. He's an intangible robot man hanging out at the safest place on the planet. That being said, I'd hazard a guess that Thanos just pulls the stone right out of his head. Not here. I think this is earlier on in the film, but later. And the Vision dies. He's dead. Get a look at this purple face. Drink it in. Take a mental picture. He's done. Now move on. Forget about him. He's dead, mate. Also, have you noticed that the Vision is one of those characters that nobody's requesting a solo film for? I'd watch that. A purple-faced robot man with his purple-faced robot family living in the suburbs? Make that film. Bruce Banner in this film, I think, is going to play an interesting role. Off the back of Ragnarok, we've seen him be really reluctant to change into the Hulk in fear of not being able to change back, which is why he might be going with the Hulkbuster suit. If Tony Stark is off in space, you might be thinking, hey, where do they get the Hulkbuster armor from? Well, if you cast your mind back to Avengers Age of Ultron 2014, the year that movie came out, not the year it was set, there's a Stark satellite circling the globe, tracking Bruce Banner in the event of a Hulk-related incident. It makes sense that he'd be able to call it down and then modify it in order to make it his own. This has been mentioned before, I'm sure, but at one point we see the Hulk on Wakanda, which makes me think that here he's overwhelmed and then he transforms, busting out of the suit. This suit also looks to have a different arc reactor, which could mean it's an upgrade or an alteration. It could even be blended with Wakandan tech. Again though, this could indicate that it's not Tony Stark in the suit, because he's all about the blue arc reactor. and also being a drunk. In this moment, we see Doctor Strange overwhelmed by the magic of Ebony Maw. At the very least, it's edited to look this way. It might be that the different children of Thanos have differing abilities, and his happens to be magic. These transparent spikes, they look very similar to what we saw Caecilius throw in that movie, what's it called? Magic Iron Man. So maybe this is a commonplace magic thing in the universe. Getting back to Thanos though, apparently this movie is going to be very Thanos heavy, almost like it's his story from his perspective. One aspect we'll be seeing from him though is some of his earlier horrifying adventures, adopting Gamora, then killing her entire race, who are known as, or were known as, the Zeho or the Zeho. I'm not sure how you say it. Not sure what the deal is with her going with him willingly, but maybe she's under the impression or is told that if she does go with him, then he won't kill everyone. Or at the very least, he's only going to kill half of everyone. What's up with that though? Balancing out the universe by destroying half of everything. That's hardly balanced. If you cut a chair in half, it's not more balanced, it's less balanced. If you cut an apple in half, it's not more balanced. Okay, yeah, if you cut it that way, then sure, look, maybe he knows what he's doing, I don't know. A lot of people, though, have been wondering, including me, how the hell Captain America is able to go toe-to-toe with Thanos. For one, they are very different sizes. Also, he's got 2 Infinity Stones, at the very least, that are capable of shooting colored lasers, the color of which correlates to the color of the stone. The purple one, though, is particularly dangerous. It's able to destroy an entire planet if you just accidentally drop it. They might even add more stones in the actual movie release, things as Marvel has a tendency to add and remove things from the trailers to avoid spoilers. This shot, though, is reminiscent of Captain America facing down Thanos in the comics. That did not go super well for him, nor will it probably here, but it's weird that Thanos is experiencing even the slightest amount of difficulty against what is essentially a fairly strong man. There might be something else going on here though that Steve Rogers is aided by that we're just not seeing. But now it's time for something that you can not only see, but also wear. Would you believe it? Mack Weldon are a quality clothing company that have sweet looking hoodies, underwear, undershirts, t-shirts, polos, socks, sweats, which are all famously antimicrobial, which basically means you can wear them for a real long time and they don't smell bad. It's incredible. I don't know how they do it. Microbes, anti-microbes, I think, yes. They also fit really well. They are my favorite t-shirts. That's no word of a lie. I got like 6 of them. So if you like clothing that's not terrible, maybe check them out by visiting mackweldon.com and use the offer code Mr. Sunday Movies for 20% off your purchase, and all of that is linked below. And thanks for tolerating ads in these videos. Most people understand, it's about paying bills and whatnot, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Right, there's a few smaller things I want to touch upon before this is all wrapped up. The Gamora Tony Stark conversation, I think they're not actually talking to each other or in the same room. This looks like 2 different locations, and they're never again seen together in the film. Though they probably would have great chemistry, they actually even dated briefly in the comics. With this shot of Shuri, we see her analyzing Vision. Nice to see her return and put to good use in this film. Also, there's still no sign of Hawkeye or Ant-Man or the Wasp. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get Ant-Man or the Wasp, except for perhaps in the post-credits that leads into their film. But I am wondering why they're holding off on the Hawkeye reveal. I hope he shows up and does something great. I have rubbished that character before for his abilities and role in these films, but I really liked what they did with him in Civil War, in particular that bit where he slowed down the Vision for a fraction of a second. It's a great scene. Legitimately. This here looks to be one of those pods from the first Guardians film, making me think this might be Nowhere, the mining colony that's inside a big old alien head. Maybe Thanos is drawn there, looking for an Infinity Stone. And Peter Dinklage is also credited in this film, but we don't know in what role. If I had to guess, which I don't, but I will, he'll be one of Thanos' minions. Let's say this one. Yeah, sure, why not? We still, though, don't have any clear indication of where the Soul Stone is, or even what or whom it is. Some believe that it might be Heimdall. I'm inclined to think that's not true. Some think it's in Wakanda, which I think it still may be, but I'm thinking less and less of that theory. Some believe that it's linked to Iron Man, because there's been some promotional material that features him being associated with it. Who knows? Maybe it's Thor. It probably isn't, but he does have the most raw power of all the Avengers, probably. And maybe Thanos just wants to crack his head like a very handsome egg to find it within. I'm really hoping though they're withholding any Soul Stone information for a reason, and it doesn't just end up being, oh look, there it is, it must have just slipped out of someone's pocket when they sat down on the toilet. Question for you guys though, is there anything from this trailer that you think I've missed? If you have any thoughts though, feel free to leave them below, because I might actually do a follow-up Q&A video like I did for the last trailer with some insights from you guys. Well, you know, some of you guys, not everyone in the comments, that's insane. I'm not an idiot. But yeah, you can either leave that below or hit me up on Twitter at Mr. Sunday Movies. Also, if you want to subscribe, there's videos here every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and every Monday on my podcast, The Weekly Planet. We talk movies and comics and TV shows. We'll be talking about this trailer in more depth, but all of my videos and podcast and a bunch of cool stuff from a whole lot of other people can be found at planetbroadcasting.com. That is a website which it's very nice for good stuff. All right, but thanks for watching this. I really appreciate it. Take care.